Let's bring this meeting to order, since we have a quorum. Were there any public comments on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes, and do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Dr. Hinkle?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Chair Montgomery?
Aye. Aye. Review of the fiscal year 28 grant cycle. Should be in your,
Yeah, let's walk through the dates.
are you going to pull it up on the screen, or are we going to just talk about it, or what are we going to?
Well, I have set up for a little bit later, but we can just walk through the dates on the grant cycle right now, and then we'll
Okay.
go to the next one, if that's all right.
And then I want to make sure they're good with the application.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll talk about the application as well. That's okay with
Whatever you need to do.
Wolfman Jack over here, his
Yeah.
radio voice.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I sent out a draft. The only thing that I added was a Murfreesboro board representation question. So what percentage of your board members live in Murfreesboro?
Yeah.
We can reframe that differently if you like, but I know there was a lot of conversation around seeing board representation from Murfreesboro on there.
That would be good to see. Several of the applicants before had boards that were mostly based in Nashville, and sometimes you could see that, and sometimes you could not. So that would be helpful for our review, I think.
The other thing, are there any, so I know we had put, I'm sorry. We had indicated video optional, so I didn't know if you wanted to change that or still leave it optional, or if there was any different wording that you wanted around the video piece.
I mean, the video was helpful to me, but I mean, if they can't do one, I guess they can't do one, but it was helpful.
I hate to leave someone out because they don't have the capability to produce a decent quality video, so.
Keep it optional.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The optional. That's how we had it last year. And a lot of them did the video.
Yeah.
And it was helpful, so.
I wanted to check on some relevance of questions if you felt that they were of value. We ask if they have a current succession plan, a current strategic plan, and written HR policies and financial policies, and that's just a yes, no, not sure in development. So I just wanted to see if that weighed in on anything with you guys, if those were still valid questions.
Well, to me, the succession plan is a really big deal for some of these mom and pop nonprofits. So it means a lot when I look at it.
Okay,
I agree. I agree as well.
okay.
Very good questions.
And then the other question, what are current and potential challenges that could be barriers to success of the project program, either internally or externally? Is that a relevant question? Does that bring any value to the application for your review? Knowing if there might be any challenges.
Is that on this draft right now?
Is it?
Yeah, it's on page 7. It's
7?
right above the financial section. It's the last question, right before financials. So it says, what are current and potential challenges that could be barriers to success of the project program, either internally or externally?
It's under
That's a
application.
good question, and I think that
Under application or under?
Number
Yeah.
7 of the application.
Page 7
of the
on the
application.
application.
reviewing
I
the
think that you're the,
prior year results, there's several in there that say,
Challenges.
unfortunately, we didn't have the outcomes that we thought we were.
Evaluation.
And so we did the best we could, in a nutshell, in an eloquent way that was, several said that.
It's good.
And, which means they were not anticipating this. This is, maybe, maybe not, but
Okay. Those were all the things that I just wanted to review. Is there anything else that you would want to see added or changed on the application?
The only, I was talking to a trust out of North Carolina, a friend of mine's on the board. One of the two things, I think we talked about, one was they don't give grants to any organization that is 5 years or less. They want a track record, which I think we said we were open to that. But the other one is they want to know the salary connected to its total income. So the salary of staff connected to the total income of that organization. Because they were, and they've added that 3 years ago, and there were a number of organizations where, it's here's 100%, but 75% is going to salary,
Yeah.
and 25 is only going to the mission of the organization. And so they really found that to be very helpful in kind of evaluating what that looks like. Now, that's new. That was new to me, and clearly I just threw that out. So I'm not saying we should do it this year, but I think we kind of need to look into it. It made a lot of sense to me.
yeah, we talked about it one time, that's the situation where the organization is really somebody's job or business or, I think, what can I do to go into business? I think I'll start a nonprofit.
In tax form?
The top 5 salaries of the organization are included in the 990. So partial salary
I see.
information is in there.
We have that on page 8 where they put total salaries and wages.
Yeah.
By just actually making them put on there, what's the percentage of?
One thing I counted there was 14 of the 29 that salaries were part of the grant. And I used to kind of be against that, but I also have realized it's hard to get help anymore.
Yeah.
And we're having to pay people $21 an hour to haul boxes out of a house. It's hard to get any help. So I had to rethink, are you going to have anybody to even work these nonprofits? And I know there's a fine line, but that's just me. I was against, and then I've kind of shifted because of the labor shortage.
Some of our specialists that.
And they are. And I don't know the right answer. I'm just telling you from Carl Montgomery's little auction company scenario, you got to pay people to work. So I'm just saying, I don't know the right answer, but I know that's happening in my world.
I think just for future consideration, if you're asking a salary ratio question, I think you also kind of have to have some other clarifying questions around that or ask for additional information, because if you're looking at an organization that requires professional or skilled staff,
right.
credentialed staff, they're going to have to pay a little bit more. So I think in the evaluation piece of
And I don't
that.
have a problem with that. I have a problem when it's one person.
Right. And I get it.
Staff and salaries are one thing, but if it's a one-man show getting 80%.
I agree.
Percent of the grant.
And when you read through some of these, they were adding adding somebody for after school because they brought on a lot more kids. I mean, I get all that, but I used to be
But they fill out.
one way, but I've kind of shifted my thoughts on that.
We don't have.
But I agree.
That's where I am on the, your suggestion about, or not suggestion, but that
Yeah, to a certain
other
extent.
organization
And
required
anything about
5
the
years of
990
an organization.
is a list.
I feel like
this.
I don't really want to do that because things shift.
Sure.
That's why, it might be a score issue, and we probably all take that into consideration. But who knows?
Well, I would be curious, and again, I don't have it right in front of me, how many grants we gave to organizations that were less than 5 years. I've got a feeling
Not really.
it was few and far between.
Our system just, not these, weighs against
Yeah.
new organizations. And considering our job as stewards of this money, I don't think that's bad.
No, and I don't either. And I guess my thought process is, as I've shared before, is if we continue to get more and more grants, what are we filtering those grants through? And if we're already, I don't want to use the word discriminating, but having a discriminating eye on an organization that's 2 years old, we're already doing that. Why wouldn't that already be something that we put in place? Because eventually, we'll get 60, 70 grants, and there's nothing that's filtering before it gets to us. That's my concern. Thanksgiving is already filled with grant reading, right? It's a lot of reading. So that's my only thing. If we're already doing it, if we're already reading these with an eye towards those expectations, then why wouldn't we already put that in place?
So do we have an escape clause, though? Like, is there, if we had another pandemic and we needed to felt like we should
Sure.
put some money towards it, do we have an escape clause to, that's what I'm saying, like, it gives us some freedom to
Well, I would
not-
think as a board, we would have the right to make changes when we should be flexible. I'm just looking at, on a regular routine, year after year, non-pandemic year, what is filtering out some of these grants that we're going to start getting? The more and more grants. And if we're already doing that, through our reading and discernment, then why wouldn't we go ahead and put that in place?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have an objection to what you're saying. So I think, to the point, some of that is built into the model in terms of the scoring model, which is, we're arguing on both sides of that as we're talking through it. But if we think through why we did that to begin with, it was we wanted to know that there was some longevity, not an ongoing concern about the longevity of the organization or their mission or what they were doing and those types of things. So I think there's a good basis for that if we wanted to do it. And so, I could be supportive of that if you wanted to do it. I think it fits the spirit of what we were doing, but to the point of, do we want the flexibility to change our mind? I think what you would see if there was another pandemic is you would see all of the existing organizations pivot to serve that need. And it doesn't mean that we couldn't pivot. And I understand, Carter, if you wanted something that says, hey, we want to specifically say we can pivot, that makes sense too. But
I would want an escape clause.
Yeah.
But I think we already have it. Like, it's already in the vote. So,
What is that score? Is it a 1 to 10 or is it a 1 to 5?
1 to 5 is the first question is how many years of service have you had?
1 to 5.
But then it weighs on the financials. You have.
That's true, because you don't have much financial.
If you don't have a lot of history, groups that have been established for 5 or more years do have the 6 months operating expenses in the bank. Yet a startup group would not. So I think we weigh it already and make it a challenge. If a really good group started up, they would have a chance, but they're fighting an uphill battle.
Right.
And I think that's okay. Again, I've had some criticism saying, hey, this is done, a new group doesn't have a chance. We need to be helping new groups. And I think, not with the funds we're dispersing. I think that we have a very good criteria established.
Maybe not 5 years, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Or something,
So in the eligibility section is where that could be added, and because it's part of the application, that could be reviewed annually to determine if you want to change it.
So that would mean 3 years since established as a 501c3?
I mean, you gotta have some kind of,
That'd be the start time.
I mean, right now, just in my mind, there's already a minimum, even though it's not on paper. Just that,
I think it's reasonable, but
I can support 3.
I mean, you guys at the bank, you don't give out loans to, very often to,
startups have a hard time.
hey, I want to build a restaurant, I need $5 million. You want experience?
We like money in 10% of ours when it's a startup, so.
I mean, it's sort of that same principle, you know?
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. Well, is that something we want to vote on right now? Add it into the thing, or what do we do with that?
Well, let me clarify, do you want it 3 years in operations or 3 years in operation in Murfreesboro? Could it be an organization in Nashville that's been operating more than 3 years?
You're not supposed to make hard questions. That's a good question.
John, what do you think about that?
I think once they get their 501c3, I mean, that's really a hurdle that shows that they're serious about getting the paperwork in, getting the right lawyer in place to move forward, and it shows that they already have skin in the game. That's what I would set it by.
But in market or out of market, irrelevant, as long as they've been in organization for 3 years.
That's correct.
I can support that too.
That's easy to measure, so.
Yes.
And then we can always adjust that. But, I mean, that's minimum, 3 years of being a nonprofit. Otherwise, the risk is just
I think it protects
outrageous.
us too, in terms of, where
Protects it, yeah.
It's like I was saying, where we allocate dollars. Here today, gone tomorrow,
Yeah.
because that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
So is there a way to put in a flexibility clause? Like, is there anything that could be done? Like, in the dollars that we approve?
Well, at the end of the day, you can always discuss, and we'll walk through kind of the matrix that we'll use to help you decide, but you're not tied to that. I mean, you could come in and say, look, this is really needed. These are experienced people. They're putting together a nonprofit. They got decent funding in addition to ours. They need this much, and we want to do that.
But if
And you could,
if they can't apply, then they would not be part of any of it.
you're saying that they can't even apply for the process.
Because they don't check that box off the
Right.
gate.
So they're less than 3 years old? Is that what you mean?
Isn't that what's being presented, if they're less than 3 years old?
Right. Like, what's an example?
It never makes it to our
Wouldn't meet
screen.
the eligibility.
And we never see it.
ability requirements. Yeah.
Your example would be what, just something new?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I too look at how long the organizations, but I just want some little window.
Wasn't Cold Patrol new, like, year before last, or has it been around
It's
for a
been
while?
around.
Okay. There was something that we,
Thrive, I don't think that we even have given Thrive any money, but they.
that's what it was, yeah.
Well, then you probably would, at least on this application, I mean, you can always do it in future years, because you can change this every year, but on the application that's going out to invite people to come in, if we do put in eligibility, then they'll fall out based on eligibility if it's less than 3 years. You could move it down to scoring, and so, they can apply, and then if they're less than 3 years, they might score it 0 for that particular matrix, but it's possible then they could score really good on all the rest and still get in, but they would get past eligibility. At least they get past eligibility probably, and to some extent come to the board. They may fall out below the scoring, which we'll talk about shortly. So they may not end up in the matrix, but when the boards or the committee sits down to talk about it, they can be brought back in because it still meet eligibility requirements.
The only thing this does is keep us from ever seeing it if it's less than 3 years old.
Right.
The eligibility, right?
Yeah.
At least for the next go-around, until it's changed. I mean, if for some reason we put it on there as eligibility and this year somebody comes and says we are 2 years in, it's really needed, then I guess we
Yeah.
could revisit it in the next year.
That would have left off, just a handful of the reviews that we did last year.
And, it all boils down to how we see ourselves, and, as funding everyone, like venture capitalists or established successful organizations that are well on their way, or seasoned veterans, and if it's less than 3 years, the risk factor goes up on anything.
I mean, you could, and say this and create a lot more work, but you could set aside X amount of funds
Yeah.
for nonprofits that are starting up. I mean, kind of an entrepreneurial type of thing. So I'm just making up numbers, but say, okay, well, 15, 30,000, that's going to be for this category. And everybody else fill out this, and we create a new application for
Startup.
for
To
startups,
encourage.
and perhaps make them do more, come in and talk, come in and talk and explain what they're, so you can sort of measure the risk
Yeah.
more than what we're measuring here, knowing that there's a limited amount of funds. So you'll probably take those that really need a whole lot to get, because you'll only have X amount of dollars to do it. And if no one comes in, or you decide not to grant, then that would just go back in the bucket and be allocated to everyone else. And if you're talking about an amount that's small enough, it's not going to move the matrix all that much, one way or the other.
Has it been a problem that we've awarded money to start? I don't think it's been a problem.
Anybody fail?
I think it kind of polices itself based on our criteria.
Based on the weights of our criteria.
If we turn around and give $40,000 to somebody that's just started their thing and they lose it, we're going to be looking pretty bad.
Yeah.
And my issue is not that it's been a problem, my issue is I still read through the whole grant.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but we're creating another step for us and to look through versus just getting them in front of us. And this guy just started, okay, that's a zero. He has no financials, that's a zero, and it's kind of taking care of itself. That's how I'm scoring them, but I don't, it seems like everybody else is scoring it the exact same way without creating a whole nother step. And then to say we get this brand new one in that's started by some wealthy Murfreesboro person that we know is a phenomenal business person, and we're like, this probably will be pretty good for the community. And we haven't created a lot of hoopla to get him back in here or her and give us some kind of speech. That video would be very helpful in that situation if it's some startup, to say, hey, this is what we're doing. That's just my opinion. That's Carl Montgomery's opinion.
So that would have the operating term in the scoring, so that you would still see it. I mean, you could dismiss it pretty quickly, and then not have to review the entire application.
If you're less than
Zero.
Got to start up.
But you'd have it, somebody would have the ability to resurrect it.
Review it.
Jody Hunt
Yeah.
went around.
If it's eligibility, we kick those out, and you really never,
If it's less than 3 years or less, it's mandatory you provide a video to show us what you're doing and just see how bad they want it.
You could also, instead of stating it as an eligibility requirement, you could identify priority focus is given to organizations 3 years or more.
I think that's legit.
And the other side of this, though, is the negativity of putting a zero. If it just started zero, and you got to tell that person no. Whereas if you had it after 3 years, you can apply. You're not telling them no. You're telling them that's the rules.
That's
Giving them
significant.
a chance to be successful, because that'd be awful discouraging if you were immediately, the whole committee said no,
Yeah,
for the reason you just gave.
yeah.
But what she's saying is that they know at the beginning that the chances are slight. And that,
Yeah, if you just say priority focus is given to organizations who have been in operation for 3 years or more, or 5 years or more. It's not disqualifying anyone, but it is saying that your priority is on organizations that are.
It's probably going to be a no. Going into it, you know it's a no. So don't be discouraged.
They
But
see that as they
Better
fill
give
out the
them a-
questions and realize, okay,
Better give them a foot in the door, or it's going to happen. I mean, all it takes is one bad score out of all of us, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen.
And I can't think of the name, it seemed like there was one that's applied a couple of times, and it was no, and then I think last year they got in, and they were pretty new, I can't think of the name of it, and I think they finally got in, they kept persistent and got in, but they were brand new, I can't remember what it was, though.
It's one of those music things or something. No.
I don't remember,
Dow Street. They were new.
but I don't know.
I think the priority piece is a great point, and it
There's
builds
all
some
of them there.
redundancy into the scoring that's already there, because, obviously, not everybody that asked got funded last year. And if priority is being given to those that have 3 or 5 years of experience, then you're adding even another layer of difficulty in terms of those getting it. But to Collier's point, they have an opportunity to advocate their case or plead their case as they're going through that.
But I don't think Wade's idea is bad about the video being required for the, the ones that.
I mean, everybody can do a video. Everyone's got a cell phone.
I agree.
That's-
The videos are helpful. And this money's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and our awards are going to be more substantial to these nonprofits over time. I mean, it's going to be some good ones, I hope, if we invest good.
it is, but then you go back to what John said. We've got a lot of videos and watch now and stuff to go through that we're probably not going to approve. We can throw that out before we
Yeah.
ever see them by just saying 3 years.
Well, if somebody wants to make a motion and work all that in,
I make a motion that on the application descriptor, that it says that there is a priority given to organizations that are 3 years plus in age.
operating for 3 years. So it's a motion. You need a
do I
second.
hear a second? I don't hear a second.
Any other
Motion.
motions?
I move that in order to apply for the grant, you have to show 3 years of, what'd you say, Wade?
501c3
Three.
in any
3 years
jurisdiction.
of 3 years of nonprofit experience.
Right.
I mean, just so you know what you're doing. That's,
Okay, so we have another
Take
motion.
that motion.
So that changes the wording, right?
Yeah, now
To be
it's-
required.
So it's eligibility.
So, it's an eligibility requirement.
Operation, 3 years of operations.
All right,
Second.
Is that a new motion?
motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Hayes?
aye.
Dr. Hinkle?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Nay.
Chair Montgomery?
Aye.
So just to clarify, that is an eligibility requirement that an organization has to be in operations 3 years or more,
Right.
and not specifically in Murfreesboro, but
Correct.
just operating.
From the date of their 50.
501c3.
Yeah, that's right. Did we just cover number 4 also and all that?
I think the only other thing was maybe to go through the dates. We can do it at the end if that's easier for people to keep them in mind, but whatever you want to do. We can talk about the grant round dates a little bit. Why don't we talk about just to remind the committee of the process. So you spend all Thanksgiving reviewing the applications. And Advent, reviewing the applications. So you we gather all the evaluations and recommendations together, and then we'll start the process that we did last year. And so I wanted to remind the committee of what we went through last year, and unless you want to make any changes, what we'll go through again this year. We'll take those and allocate the funds based on the scores. So the scores are very important, and we talked about that a little last year, and we want to be discerning as we score. And it's not basically saying that you're good or bad, it's basically saying how you relate, what's your relative score to others who are applying. So as you go through them, it's a relative score. It's because that's what we're going to use the numbers for. It's how we're going to line it up when we allocate the funds. It's going to be based on the scores. So we're not intending to discourage anybody or saying your nonprofit's bad, but based on the scores that of the application we received this year's, your score is relative to all the rest. Because what we'll do is we'll take the scores and line all the applications up based on scores, and we'll have an amount that's available. And we'll go down that list and fund as many as we can based on the average recommendation of applications until we run out of money or have very little left, and then we'll cycle that back in. But essentially run out of how much funds are available, and that'll be the cutoff. And people that fall below that then won't be funded. Yeah, that's what we did last year.
Right.
So scores are important. As we calculate the average, we're going to use, remember, the trimmed mean, which means the highest and the lowest are taken out. Not a huge thing because the committee's pretty grouped together. Unless somebody wants to give $150,000 instead of $15,000, then that's a problem.
Now, that's of the ones that we voted to fund.
That's of the, yeah, so you voted to fund as many as you possibly can. Though all that is accumulated, so scores are all accumulated, everything's accumulated, and then we take the available funds for that year, and then based on the scores, allocate using the average down the list as far as we can go until the funds are used up, or there's very little left. Okay? So once we get down there, we'll know what our funding, what our funds look like, all the applications that are being funded. And whatever little amount we have left, so if there's 10,000 left, we can't get to the next one, it doesn't really do anything, then that 10,000's put back into the rest of them, distributed across based on weighted average. And the two weights that we use are the scores again. So the scores, the primary way that all the weighting when we reallocate funds are calculated is based on the score. And then the other thing we used last year was based on the percentage of requested funds that the committee has decided to provide. And the reason we had done that and what we had discussed is that gives some indication of how much on a percentage basis that the committee really feels like this particular project should get. So it's a rough approximation to say the committee's finding this important because as a body on a cumulative basis, you're funding more towards what they've asked for than the rest. Okay, so those are the two weighting factors that we would use when we reallocate any funds. Because the next step, and this is the hardest part, is it goes into the category limitations. Okay, so once it goes into category limitations and hits those percentage numbers, things start to get really shuffled. And so we'll use the same weighting factors that we use in the categories to try and get the categories funded as close as possible to the percentage. And close as possible is probably, all the funds that could be allocated over there are allocated amongst them. The only exception is we're always working off of the requested funds as a maximum. So nobody gets more than what they've requested. Okay? So when you weight the funds and you have somebody who's requested $5,000 and they're getting $5,000, that's all they're going to get because that's all they requested. When you weight, that becomes a zero because it's not dragging down the rest. You just don't want to use that number. So that gets taken out. So once you get to the category limitation and you calculate those three categories, the remaining amount really falls into the applications that fall in the other category. So everything that doesn't fall within, you remember the three categories: community services, education, and youth services, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So if they don't fall in there, they fall in the other, and that picks up the rest of the funds that were taken out because of the category limitations, and that gets reallocated then amongst the others using the same weighted factor. And then you get a final tally. That would be the final award based on this objective kind of calculations that are being done. And then that comes back to the board, along with the calculation decision metrics. You remember we talked about them. We didn't really use them last year too much, but it's measuring how far the board is apart from each other and how close they are to each other. So it's measuring the breadth of the recommendations. So if everybody is really far apart, it'll send up a red flag saying this might be something you want to talk about because people are widely dispersed. Or if it's close together, what it's talking about is stability. So if everybody's close together, or a majority are close together and some are outliers, one vote might change things quite a bit. So there's two measures in there. It's how far apart you are. Do you want to talk about those? Are you close enough where one vote might change things? Do you want to talk about those? And all it is it's just an indicator of those awards, and it just flags them and says, these are ones you may want to talk about. You don't have to. Last year we didn't really focus on those a lot because this will get more important as money gets bigger. But it's good practice now to take a look at those. And so it comes back with the calculated award using the matrix that we've developed, and then the calculated decision metrics comes back to the board for discussions on the recommendations. So you'll see all those numbers. You'll see how they're calculated to the extent that you want to. You may not want to dig too far in the math. You don't have to, and I don't blame you. But you'll get that back, and then it's open for discussion. So this is when, you could say, look, I get the math, but this is important. While we're going through these, the few months that we go through these, something may have happened. It's like, we really need to address this. We're going to push this up and give these a lot more money. I don't care what the math says. Perfectly legitimate. No fault on the board or the committee. You can do that all day long without any issues. It's best if you voice and we create a record of why it's being done, just to establish that it's being done fairly and for a good reason. But the numbers behind there is just to give guidance. They're not a decision making. Okay, the board, the committee makes the final decision. Yella?
During the calculate decision metrics, are you saying that what we could do is there could be discussions within the group, and then based on the discussion, someone may want to change the amount that they recommend?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that the matrix will just flag it. It'll say, there's a couple factors here that just kind of raise an issue. You might want to look at it. And and the board could, in all fairness, say, no, it's fine. It looks good. We've all rethought it, or I put down the wrong thing or something.
During that time, someone could say, did you consider this about this organization? And someone said, no, I didn't consider that. And therefore, I want to change the amount I recommended funding.
Yeah. Yeah. This all harkens back to our initial discussion when the board was put together. There's an objective way to go about it and a subjective way to go about it. At the end of the day, it's the committee's decision and a recommendation that goes to the board. So, we put as much objectivity and kind of analysis into it to support the decisions and make sure that they're fair and reasonable. But the board can take fair and reasonable to another standard and have that discussion and decide what they want. So I don't want anybody to get too hung up in the numbers. Well, the staff, all that blue on that side is the staff. Is a staff work. That gets done, comes back. It's a tool for you to use. It's not your decision. It's not intended to be your decision. I just want to make that clear.
Yep. And just a reminder, the nonprofit is not the category. It's the project that the nonprofit is doing is the category.
Right.
Because that can get, it can get missed pretty easy.
And I will say this, and the board can say not do this or however they want, but when we get all the applications and we take a look and you're asked to categorize them, and so we get 7 different opinions on what category that they fall into, and then we kind of have grouped up together and said, I see that, and looks like where the majority is, or if it's 3 to 4 in this category and stuff, can we find an explanation for that project to reasonably be categorized as other? Are they doing more than one thing? Yes, they may focus heavily on the education, but they're also doing some other stuff. Is there another thing? Can we get it into health-related? That's the other one, health-related. Can we get it into health-related? And if we can explain both of those, maybe it belongs in other. Because remember, the other category is picking up all the slack, and the less issues you have on limitation, the better off you are. Because that's really where things start to
Right.
make it more difficult.
Makes sense.
So we've done that before, and unless you tell us otherwise, we'll continue to kind of categorize it that way.
I think it's worked good. I mean, it was very helpful last year, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we need it says action, do I need to make a?
Do we have a copy of that?
If you want to make a change, if we want to keep going, then, what's that?
Do we have a copy of that flow chart in our?
No, but I can send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this year, because there was some discussion, and I was going to talk about it later, but we'll talk about it now. I'll send you the flow chart here that you can see. I'm going to send you the prior year's awards,
Okay.
statistics on prior year's awards, so you can kind of see that, so you have a little running background on what's going on. So we'll send you some information before you start your evaluation.
That's great.
And we can include that.
Okay. The year-end 2027 mid-year report,
So these are actually, again, forms just for review and approval. I do want to back up because I provided a copy of your evaluation forms, the questions that you use to evaluate the applicants. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay with everything still, or if there were any additions or changes you wanted to make for your evaluation criteria.
I don't remember if we.
I looked at the questions and I
At the end of
did
our
not
meetings
see
last
any
year, did we have anything?
changes to be made to the questions. Also, like the points system we've established and noted here.
One of the things that Angela and I have discussed in preparation, we do a due diligence review, but we're only looking to make sure that they have all the application requirements, that they're a 501c3, that type thing. If you guys wanted, we could pull some of the weaker applications, maybe applications that don't have a full board or don't have Murfreesboro representation, and put those together in a separate list that you could vote on to approve, to move forward to review or not. That might provide some additional.
We discussed it in the framework of kind of similar to the way we do consent agendas with council. If any board member wanted to pull a single organization from our list and ask that it be scored, then that's all it would take, would be that one request. So if we provide you a list of 8 weak applications that we do not feel like will score well, and any one of you says, hey, there's one of these that I do want to shift from your list back into the scoring ring, it only takes one request to do that.
So is that like, when are we presented with that grouping?
Before you score.
So before we see all the other ones, it would
Yes.
be something that we would,
And you would still have access to those. The way we've done due diligence in the past is if they did not meet eligibility, they did not move into the list for you to review and score. This would add an additional option for you if there's an application in there that is a part of our staff review. We do not feel that you will score well based on some of the criteria and some of the information that you've given us in the past, then we could provide you with the list of the more viable applications to score, and then a list to consider not moving forward into scoring. An option. And we could do it on a pretty trial basis this next round, a very careful piece. It's up to you.
And what's the deadline for them to have it all in, the end of the,
Yeah, so if we're still going with the
Process.
same time frame, it would be October 1st, October 31st would be that grant application open period. And then when that cuts off, then usually from there to mid-November is when we do our kind of review process. And then at that point, we could provide a list of applicants that we don't feel are weaker or wouldn't meet the full criteria, and you could decide whether you wanted to fully score them. And then it's just a matter of moving them electronically into the next
right?
pot, and so it's not.
Like how many would that be? Like in the past, would y'all?
I would
see?
say probably maybe 8 to 10.
Oh,
At max.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't see a downside to that, especially if the board knows in advance what it is and can pull those back in for consideration. I mean, I don't see a downside in having less to review, especially if staff knows based on your experience that it's going to be unlikely to be a top candidate or something we do.
And you would just send the whole committee, these are the applications, does anybody want to add them to the list? And they say yes.
Would you
or
give
no.
us reason?
Yes, so we
Okay.
would create a spreadsheet, and it would have the name of the organization, their project, what they're requesting money for, and then a column that would identify why we tagged it
Okay,
Week
for
application.
review.
be easy, handy. Okay. I mean,
And
I
then
don't
you
have a problem with that either.
I like it too.
agree or disagree.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a good addition.
So we have your permission?
Do we have to vote on that one? Are we good?
Thank you.
Is there any, is there,
Got John back to the Thanksgiving dinner table.
is,
We have our like last year, we were given an extra week or so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. That was really helpful.
That was really big.
Yeah. I don't know, it depends on how I feel.
We're going to compress it a little.
That was a
Doesn't it
great
feel more like a
Christmas gift.
present if it's extended rather than just a end date?
It's a gift already.
Yeah, I think we can gift some extra time in there.
thank you.
And then the mid-year report and the final report are what is given to the applicants to fill out. I did add some additional language around providing total numbers served, and then also how they identify those numbers that are specific to Murfreesboro. With the most recent final report overview, I felt some of that information was lacking, so trying to provide some more targeted questions and directions to enable you guys to have that specific details.
That's good.
So if is there any other questions or information you would like to see from the organizations in reports?
I don't know if this is the proper time to bring this up, but the year-end 2025, 2026, looking through possible, a lot of AI responses through there, and I don't know if we need to address that, that's who's creating their report, and if it's accurate or not accurate or what, but I'll bring it up.
Yeah, so that would be one of the questions I would ask. Typically, after this final report, then I would close out the grants, and we would end that year. Is there anything that you would want me to go back and do, or, you know, are you okay with the information that was presented? Are there any organizations that you would want further follow-up or additional information?
I think we need to have greater brevity on the report, on the final reports.
Say that again?
They need to be shorter.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't
It's a lot.
know about y'all, but I mean, it was a lot to read all of these, and they don't want to do it either, so why do we, like, it just seems like so much. Can we give them a shorter
We can
document, or-
shorten the word counts if you wanted to do that, or if you
I
wanted
think
to
that would be amazing.
change the questions.
I mean, I'm looking at a 4 or 5 page document.
Yeah.
You want just one organization.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You don't have anything else to do?
You can get
And
AI
I
to,
think it's too much.
ask AI to summarize it for you.
That's what I did.
Yeah, there you go.
That's exactly what I did.
I don't know if y'all read the CASA one, it was pretty,
But at the end of the day, you
Jerker.
just want to see, you know, what'd you spend the money on? You know, show me.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really need the stories.
Right, we got all
Give us
that.
the stories in the application.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can
Well, here we go, program outcomes, we have a 2,500, you know, not many of them used that much, of course, but.
all right. So I'm going to take out a success story, any barriers or challenges or adjustment that impacted your project. I can take that out if you guys are good with that. The character limit on that one is 2,500. I can reduce it to 1,500.
10.
10 words, 10 characters.
Brevity counts.
Shorthand.
AI actually told me on a couple of these, that this appears to have just gone in their general fund.
Yeah. You kind of want shorter goals and outcome, so I can adjust those.
Be great.
I'll take that out. So really, the financial summary, you still want to keep that, and then how you spent the money. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So numbers served
Yeah, that's helpful.
and
Yeah.
financial information.
Got that? All good? All right. How's the trust doing?
Just doing pretty good. We can walk through this, but based on it, it looks like if we estimate reasonably between a couple of different parameters, we're looking at about 780, 750, 780, somewhere in there. Some of it's still market-driven, so things could happen. We don't know. We're still bombing somebody.
Yes, been a good year.
And it's an important commodity, so who knows what's going to happen. 30% increase, about $180,000 increase. And so the actual, right now, the balance as of today, checking this morning, about 97.6 round numbers. Can you see my cursor? Yeah, my cursor's up there. About 97.6. So far, year-to-date yields right around 16. But if you take that and you project it forward before expenses, and expenses won't change this number, but minutely, that's about 806. If you assume a return of 5%, so all year long, so you'd have to wipe out a lot of what you did already this year, and then you get an anemic response. Which even if the market went down, we're investing in a lot of things that would still hold up over that. It's more fixed than just a straight market, then you get about $750,000. That's 5% from the very beginning of the year, incorporating the payment that comes in 1st of July. So the midpoint of that's 780. Last year it was 589, 525, or 598, sorry, 598, 525. So it's about $180,000 increase.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
That's good.
Don't hold me to it. If I had a crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be here.
Actually, could be more, depending on.
It could be more. I mean, if we kept up a return, well, that's taking the return 16, but yeah, it could be more. I mean, some of our investments in holdings are they don't move quite a bit because they're not market-based. And so they'll report on not on a daily basis, but on a periodic basis, an end-of-year type of thing. So those are the more hedge fund, private equity, private debt kind of investments. And so they're not going to change a whole lot until we get to a certain point where they report that change.
At what time does the board have to make a commitment? It's okay, this is how much we have to distribute.
We get a final balance on July 31st. So our financial consultant gives us a final balance. I ask them every year for July 31st, give us what it is, and they total the assets that the trust has, and that's your number. So it's somewhere around this. Like I said, expenses aren't included, but expenses are I think they were 0.05 of the total balance last. I mean, they're very small. So
Okay.
they're not huge.
Is it July 31st or December 31st?
What'd I say?
July, I thought that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's December.
December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's a little confusing, so, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, July. All right.
It happened. So we got 780.
Stuck in fiscal years, even though that's not it either, is it? December 31st, they'll evaluate as of the end of that day. So January 2nd is when we'll get the number. They get the first off.
All right.
But we'll have an estimate, and we'll continue to estimate as we get closer and closer. So if things do change, we kind of know. We'll get another estimate when we gather up. What's our next meeting going to be?
We don't have it set.
What time frame? Usually we meet in this,
January, February, into January.
oh,
After
so
the-
we meet after the first year. So I'll send out, we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll just send committee the updates. Maybe sometime 1st of December, we'll see how things are going.
Unless they want to meet again. We will want to talk about at some point how you want to approach next year's funding cycle, application cycle, based on the increase in funds availability. We had initially had some conversations around a possible two-step process. And so I think if that's the route that you want to go, we need to have that conversation early so that we can announce any changes in a sufficient time before the next grant cycle opens. So I don't know how you want to calendar that discussion in.
So as of right now, our next meeting would be at the end of January unless we work something in.
Right. And we could have that discussion in January if you wanted to. That's up to you guys. But you will be making decisions on applicants, so it may be a two-part meeting where you want to have it.
What do you mean by the two-part process?
We had discussed previously about the potential of doing a LOI step, so just a very brief application process that would allow you to review it and then invite applicants to a full application if you wanted to as a vetting process. So just to reduce the number of full applications that you might potentially be looking at.
I think it's a process more common with larger grant gives, and this group is getting, hitting that $1 million mark might be a good kind of benchmark to consider.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind having another meeting.
Do what?
So I personally wouldn't mind having another meeting.
Really, I mean, it's a good refresher just to go over the software too, just because I just do it once a year and start. So, has anybody got an idea on when they might want to meet? It all ends in November 1st, so.
I know I'm going to be out of the country the first 2 weeks of October.
I'll be out of the country the second 2 weeks of October.
October's out.
Well, I mean, we're not going to get to look at this stuff until 1st of November anyway. So, I mean, is anybody, you got 3rd, that's a Tuesday. The 10th is a Tuesday.
Good 10.
Both good with me.
I'm good with either one of those.
10?
Out of town on the 3rd.
Oop, nope, I won't be there on the 3rd. I'll be out of town
10th?
on the 3rd,
What about the 10th?
10th.
I can do it.
Wide open.
I thought I included her in that.
I'm wide open.
Everybody good with the 10th of November?
Suggest a time, sir.
I'm good any time in the afternoon, so does that work for everybody? Y'all like it later or you like it after lunch?
Before the school zone hits.
It's a little
2
later. Is
2
that
p.m.?
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 p.m. before school. 2 p.m. on the 10th. November 10th. Put that in my calendar. Good deal.
Okay, we'll confirm with the airport. We have this room. Got to check with them, but
Yep.
otherwise it should be good.
Okay. And then from there, we can schedule our January meeting, if that's good with everybody.
Yeah.
Other business, we got some terms ending. So what are we doing?
If everybody's amenable, I'll send an email to the mayor and we'll get it on an agenda and have the council reappoint.
Okay, it's me and Collier and who was the other one?
John.
John. Okay.
Yeah. I think they usually
You
like to
wanna
have
return?
speeches before.
I was going to say no.
Yeah,
There you go. Let's do it.
yeah. That's
Okay.
easy for you.
All right. I think we all want to be back.
Good. All right.
Any other business?
Craig, did we get the calendar piece?
Oh, calendar, yes, calendar. What is it?
Did we?
Oh, I didn't send it, I didn't send it out, did you?
I didn't do it.
What is
We
it?
can send it out.
Okay. It's just I just sent it to you.
Oh, I had asked if there was a grant schedule calendar. I didn't see one.
Yeah.
You had mentioned it. That's why I emailed you.
So kind of for our next grant cycle, follows pretty much the same timeframe. We'll send out press releases in September and update the website and start getting the word out. And then October 1st through 31st is when the grant application will be open. November 1st through the 15th is when staff will do the due diligence. And then November 15th through January 3rd-ish for review and scoring. And then come back sometime mid to late January for your final approvals. And then move through the recommendation and process.
Okay. Somebody's very efficient because they just put this on my calendar, the meeting.
Yeah, sorry.
Who did that? It's magic.
Yeah, I couldn't, it just did it, I'm sorry.
Popped up on my screen. That's great.
Stop. I'm used to.
Anything else?
I only had, and maybe it was answered and I was somewhere else. Did we ever get any comments from anybody who didn't get the grant? Did anybody come back to us and say, hey, where, especially if they got the grant in the past and then this time around? I was just curious what the feedback was.
I haven't heard from anybody as far as in the community.
I heard from one organization.
We did have so when we sent out the email saying that they were not accepted as a grantee, we offered a review process so they could make an appointment with me. And I think we had 4 or 5 organizations who responded back with a review. And I can tell you who that was in just a second. Give me just a second. So, Corner to Corner, Ethos, Tucker's House, and Thriving Together were the 4 organizations that responded back, and we did a review with them.
Could we flag those if they apply again, just so that we know they did due diligence afterwards? Not that that would weigh, but at least we would have a recognition that they put the effort.
Yeah.
So we didn't hear anything from the cemetery board?
No, they didn't, and they didn't move through because theirs was a capital project, so we
I see.
didn't process that one through.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that did call me and talk to me about, not specifically the application, but the...
What it could be awarded?
Yes.
From the
Yes.
cemetery?
Yes. And so I did tell him that we couldn't do capital campaign
I don't know about the rest of the committee, but I really appreciate the staff notes. Anything y'all do
Absolutely.
is really impactful for me. Because I often read those and wonder what they thought about it.
Amen.
Are we under other business?
Yes. You got anything?
Got a question. Obviously, some of us have direct knowledge of some of the applicants' organizations. And yet, we've gotten a few recently emails from some organizations that we funded that I am not familiar with, other than the information that was put on the application. And I'm questioning, is that something that would be good for us to do or bad for us to do? To learn more about some of that organizations that we funded. In one hand, you think, okay, we need to review the applications based strictly upon the information provided. But yet, it's no secret that, a lot of these organizations I'm very familiar with. So I'm wondering what are y'all doing? Are y'all accepting going to any of the events of?
John and I both went to the Thriving Together.
Yes, I think that was one of them.
And then
Okay.
I think that Ann Davis is pulling together some kind of, what's she
Yeah.
pulling together?
It was, what was that?
I don't know that it's been formalized, but she has done several things to help the nonprofits, nonprofit leaders do staff development and staff training and promotion, and doing a lot of those different activities, targeting those groups and helping them, with grant writing or with, use of models and metrics and research and things like that. The Christy Houston Foundation has funded some of those things. So I think kind of as an extension of that, like it was Ann that organized that site visit that was passed on. And there were members of different funding organizations that attended, just as an opportunity to learn more about a local organization. I was super impressed.
Okay. I will start going to those.
I thought she was doing something broader, like a symposium of all the nonprofits. I don't know, maybe I made that up. Or maybe she just talked about that off the cuff, like at some point.
There's also a group called, that Redstone sponsors. It's a Meet the Funders organization where nonprofits are invited. There have been really good participation, 50 or 60 different local nonprofits coming. And then a panel discussion of different funding organizations that rotate out so that nonprofits get a chance to meet different funding bodies that are available to them. I think that's been very successful as well, and Ann has been a part of setting those up also.
Maybe that's probably what.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.